Speaking of Scottish football, Rangers destroyed Celtic 4-1. I watched the highlights and it was high quality football. Defo.
Yeah, amazing.
Morelos scored his first goal against Celtic ever, from what I remember. He never scored against them. It's like the pantomime villain back in the day when every time they played and Scott Brown would take the piss out of him. It was so funny. I guess that's
Classic
over
Scott
now.
Brown.
Good on Gerrard for bringing the title back to Rangers and dunking over Celtic so many times this season.
Have they won the title already?
Yeah, Rangers sealed the title a few weeks back. I think they're unbeaten in all the Old Firm matches.
Wow, that's cool.
I don't know, the reaction to this is kind of mixed. Obviously, people love Gerrard over there now, understandably, because of all the shit Rangers have had to go through the past few years, being in liquidation, having to start from scratch, and then having all these taunts about them not being Rangers anymore, and then Celtic winning, 9 in a row, and then Rangers just coming back up and then being clearly the inferior side, just being beaten all the time in the Old Firm derbies. Gerrard doing this is monumental, but on the other hand, you could look for flaws in his management. You could say Rangers have a really bad record in the cup matches. You could argue, since it is an easier league and they're the two richest clubs, it was only about to happen. Celtic winning that many times, they're bound to drop off. So long as Rangers keeps to their usual level, they'll just be crowned champions eventually. So for me, Gerrard, the manager, is still a question mark.
Yeah, but you can't overlook his achievement from nothing to something. Not many managers can do that, even if it's in Scottish football.
It's definitely an achievement to do this in your first professional managerial gig, 2 seasons in, and you're winning the title already. It is definitely great for the CV. It's just people are talking about him replacing Klopp next season. I think that's far too soon.
But that's the question. Is he going to stay next season or is he going to stay another year?
Where would you like him to move to?
Personally, I think it'd be better if he stayed in Rangers next season.
Yeah, I was going to say
just for another year. If he's coming back to England, he's not going to manage other teams.
Yeah, he was odds on for Spurs. Apparently.
No, that's can't happen.
That was such a funny week when Spurs sacked fucking Mourinho and everyone was talking about who's coming next. Gerrard's name come up and then it was Brendan Rodgers as well, which is just so funny because they both tied to Liverpool, and I think Rodgers actually came out in a news article and said, "Yeah, no thanks."
No, I'm good. I think they're okay. I mean, in terms of Spurs, I think they're cool with having Mason, to be honest.
Yeah, do you reckon?
Yeah, I think if I were a Spurs fan, I'll keep Mason.
I don't get the long-term vision of this because you really don't know what you're getting from him, and a lot of the players talk to him as if he's their mate because a lot of them they played together once. I think they're trying to get the same result as what United did with Solskjaer.
But that's different though.
Yeah,
Solskjaer was a United legend and Mason was an average player.
Exactly, and I see a lot of Spurs fans saying that it's not hypocritical for them to sing Mason's praises because it's the same as us appointing Ollie, but to me it's not even the same. It just feels like they have Spurs legends. Okay, we can make fun of them, but blah blah blah, but Spurs have legends to pick from and they went for him for some reason. Is he a Spurs legend? No, he's just someone who played there and then got injured.
Maybe they saw something in him.
Yeah, maybe, but the cynical way I could look at it is Levy just wanted someone who would listen to him.
Ooh, okay, that's true.
I don't really know. You could take this so many different angles because the whole Jose sacking was just, looking back, it was kind of unjust if you think about it. I don't know if you'd agree with that. I feel like the timing of it was really odd. I think they expected the Super League to go through.
It kind of caught me off guard when I saw the news. He didn't turn up to the training ground as a form of protest against the Super League.
Apparently that's not true, but I don't know.
That's not true.
Well, it's not been proven. That's just someone tweeted as a rumor. I feel like that could just be a lie as well because it doesn't make sense to sack the cup winning guy before a cup final in that timing. What seems to make more sense, sadly, is they were going to sack him anyways. They were just waiting until Spurs dropped out of the top 6 because apparently in his contract it stipulates how far up the table they are at the time of sacking. It affects how much his compensation fee is. They dropped to 5th and then they waited longer, 6th. And then after the draw with Everton, they were 7th. He waited until then to sack him. And then the Super League money was meant to come in. And then it didn't. Now, no one really wants to touch the Tottenham job because it's such a poison chalice. So they kind of fucked themselves. It is so puzzling, as a footballing decision because it gives the team less time to prepare for the final. It gives the team less time to gel with the new manager. And it just leaves everyone in such a disorientating mess.
Timing was horrible. It was like a few days before cup final, which they lost.
Jose might not be like as effective a manager as he was back in the day, but like who else are you gonna get like at Spurs realistically?
Exactly.
Who else are you gonna get like that's gonna draw talent in?
I mean, like at the end of the day, Spurs, they have like people working there, and I'm sure they've planned something before making that decision.
Yeah.
So they must have some kind of idea.
They have people working there, do they?
Yeah, they have people working. I mean, probably. Do they? I thought they were going to hire Nagelsmann from Leipzig.
Oh, that was never happening.
Yeah, no way. I mean, maybe they thought hiring Brandon was a possibility. It'd be funny. It'd be funny to see if West Brom gets relegated and then they hire Sam Allardyce next season.
Oh my god, could you imagine?
Long balls by like a player like Crouch.
They were a good little team when they had Crouch.
Oh yeah, that's true. He was very good.
That's kind of what Tottenham had been for like decades and decades. Like I know they won a League Cup in like 2008, was it? That's like their only trophy in 60 years or something. Ridiculous.
It's not enough, is it?
The last time they won the league title was 1961 under like
I wasn't even born that time.
Nick. Okay, people like to take the piss out of them and say they don't have any history, but they do have history.
They do.
I guess like they were the first
Yeah.
club in London to win a European trophy, not the Champions League or Europa League or anything important, but it was still like a European trophy. That's kind of puts them on the map. In my opinion, like the trophy thing, it can be misleading because, like, the Netherlands as a national team, they're historically remembered as like this great football side, but they've never won the World Cup. Spurs are a big club, in my opinion, but the history of winning trophies just isn't there. So if you're going there to win trophies, that's a really bad idea.
What I really feel sad about Tottenham right now is that they've had so many opportunities to win trophies, FA Cup, Champions League. They all bottled it.
Yeah, I do feel sad for like the genuinely good players. That would be like Son and Kane. The rest I'm not really sure about. Lloris was on really bad form like what the year Poch got sacked, so who knows whether to point the gun at him. But like Dele Alli, man, like he is out of order. Like obviously I have respect for any athlete that dedicates their life, but for an athlete, he hasn't even dedicated himself even close to enough.
No.
Like when two managers come in and you're not performing, then the problem isn't them, it's you, really.
Exactly. Yeah, but I think like from the last match, Mason sort of figured out how to use Dele Alli with, Bale.
Again, Sheffield! It's blimmin' Sheffield! Oh, he figured it out. He figured it out, did he?
Sheffield is still a Premier League team. Well, it's not.
Well, they're relegated, actually.
It's not a Sunday League team.
No. I mean, you expect players of those caliber to perform against Sheffield. They barely got over Southampton. It wasn't that impressive. They relied on a last-minute penalty. And the first half they played against Southampton was dreadful. As bad as any half when Jose was managing. Turned it around the second half. And we all know the new manager bounced, and this is probably just what it is. And I could be totally wrong, and Mason might turn out to be, I don't know, the second coming of Guardiola or something. But this was exactly what happened when Ollie was put in charge at first. It was such like a natural high to just get something fresh and just play outside of yourself and like, quote, the shackles are off, said all the pundits, and apparently it was all the last manager's fault. But then the problems start creeping back in, and you see why he was so defensive. It wouldn't surprise me if Spurs get annihilated like 4 or 5 matches later.
Yeah, but like every time a new manager comes in, the first 5 games, the first 6 games are very important. Those matches that sets the atmosphere of the squad. And I feel like even if they play against Sheffield, winning them 4-0 after losing to Man City 1-0, I think there's something to take from it.
I think what we can take from it is, if I'm being objective, that Gareth Bale might not be as far behind the Premier League standard as we first thought if he's doing this well. But then that calls into question why a professional footballer would down tools under another manager. Because you saw how he didn't track back in the previous games. He would pretend to track back. He would pretend to chase the ball, and once it got away, he'd shake his head and be like, oh, yeah, that's gone now. The effort levels just was not there. But when the manager gets sacked and he has to prove to the world that it's not his fault, suddenly he shows up. It's not a mentality I find easy to respect, and the Chelsea players have done it, and United players have done it, Spurs players are now currently doing it. It seems it happens at a lot of clubs.
But you got to think about his age too. He's what, 31 this year. You know, when players get older, they have to sort of restrain them from, like, I don't know, running too much or getting into like tough challenges. I think that's what he's doing right now.
I think he was managed all right, like in terms of protecting him from injuries, because like there's this huge talking point about how like Jose held him and Dele Alli back, but like under Jose, I think he still plays this game. Like the kind of games that Bale played, because like his stats aren't bad this season, but the games he scored in, they're not sides that were that good. I can see why this seems positive, but I can also see the flip side, which is this can be misleading, and things like this were happening under Jose anyways when things were good, and these players have the historical precedent, a record of downing tools and dropping their heads and like betraying the trust of the manager. So I wouldn't make too many sweeping statements with that just yet. We have more evidence of this going wrong after a false start than we have no evidence of it going right, actually, as Tottenham.